This episode of You Look Happier is proudly sponsored by JH Renovations Limited, your trusted partner for all things building and renovation. Based in Coventry and serving Warwickshire and surrounding areas, JH Renovations specialises in everything from plumbing and kitchen or bathroom transformations to full-scale building projects. They've got a really experienced team that delivers quality craftsmanship, attention to detail and exceptional customer service. If you are ready to turn your house into your dream home, get in touch with them today and let them bring your vision to life. Find out more at the links below. Now, let's dive into today's episode. Hello and welcome to the latest episode of the You Look Happier podcast. My name is Ellie Forsyth and I am joined today by the beautiful Shannon. Hi, Shannon. Is it Shannon or Shan?
Shannon, but everybody just calls me Shan. Mad Shan.
Mad Shan.
God, we started on a good
We're
start.
in for a treat.
Yeah.
We're in for a treat. So I am so excited for this one, genuinely, and you are a ball of energy already. We haven't
Bouncing
even
off
started.
the walls and I. So.
That's good though.
Yeah.
I love that. I love mad people. And I want to know all about you and your journey.
Yeah.
For the listeners,
Okay.
could you explain who you are? And then we'll go from there.
Okay. Who am I? Okay. So I'm Shannon, 31, from Cov, born and bred in Cov. I think people would know me as someone that has probably vlogged and blogged about their mental health journey throughout, like, started when I was like 2015 kind of thing.
Okay.
I tried. I'm a bit of a person that has probably tried to push the boundaries and talk about things that people don't generally want to talk about.
Yeah.
And I think that's how people would know me. I'm a single mum to a beautiful little girl called Orla. And I think many people will know me in kind of this year, last year, of talking about my journey, having Orla, but also having postnatal psychosis.
Wow.
I generally believe a problem shared is a problem halved. So I kind of use my social media to talk about things that people are too ashamed to talk about, or somebody needs to look at my page and think, oh, I've gone through that. Shan's gone through that as well.
Relatable.
So I'm not alone. Yeah. And I just want to be that person. I want to be the person I needed when I was younger.
You want to be the person that you needed when you were younger.
Yeah.
Amazing. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's a bit of an insight into just who you are. So you're a single mom
I am.
to a beautiful little girl called Orla.
Yeah.
How have you found, or how did you find that journey, becoming a mom? Say if somebody has never watched your social media or listened to anything that you've sort of vlogged and blogged. I love that, vlogged and blogged.
Vlogged and blogged. One of the most heartbreaking, amazing experiences of my life. How it kind of come about was when I was younger, I suffered with an eating disorder. So I have always compared myself to any man and his dog.
Right.
Since I was 12, 13, I was in that era where you'd go down to the shop, you'd buy your clothes, so your heat, all the magazines. And I would look at all these celebrities of their perfect life, their perfect lifestyle. And I was like, I need that. I need to look like this to be considered as pretty, adored, desirable. This is how I'll be loved. This is how I'll get a boyfriend. And I fell into that trap quite young.
Right.
I always thought that I was a bigger child. I remember, like, when I was 7, I would stand up on my mum and dad's, like, bath and have the mirror, like, up and, like, look at myself and, like, pinch the rolls of fat and want to change stuff. Yeah, I can remember it, like, now, and be like, when you're older, you're going to be pretty. And it's kind of like, when I was in school, I was really badly bullied by boys. And kind of some of the popular girls in school, and they always mentioned, like, my weight. I was ginger, had glasses. I was like a bully's dream, if you do what I mean, like to make somebody feel like shit. And kind of like always just remembered the things that they would say in my head throughout the years. And when I kind of knew what tools I needed to do to lose the weight,
right,
at 18, I was declared as having anorexia, and I had to go into my first rehab admission.
Wow.
So I was 18. Well, everyone was kind of living it up in, like, Magaluf, Ibiza, all my friends were, you know, doing what they were doing, I was just being like in a small room with like no sharps, like a mattress, a locked door, thinking I want to die because I don't look pretty, I'm not pretty, and who's going to love me when I look like that? Because when you do have like an eating disorder, unfortunately, you know, the number, you just want to get lower and lower and lower. Eating disorders can come of many factors, you know, you can be different sizes, have an eating disorder, but for me, I wanted to lose the weight.
Right.
So I was told in that time, due to the fact what I did to my body, I would never have children. So when Orla was born and I got pregnant with Orla, she was a miracle child.
Yeah.
She was a miracle child. I couldn't believe, like, you know, I'd been in kind of relationships over the years. You know, you're not always safe. So I never got pregnant. So I kind of was like, there's nothing, you know, there's nothing going on down there.
It's not going to happen for me.
I went to the doctors during a time when I was single to see like kind of what was going on down there, and they said I wasn't ovulating. So there was so many things going on that I just was like, it's not going to happen for me. I fucked it up, blah blah blah. So when I got that pregnancy test and it was positive, it was the happiest time of my life.
Something really powerful about what you've said there. It's not going to happen for me because I fucked it up.
Yeah. I always think that I've done something wrong all the time.
But even in this small insight that you've given us so far, like, you were bullied at school.
Yeah.
That is cruel and that is not your fault.
Yeah.
How did it go from school age to 18 where you were admitted to a rehab facility? Like, before Orla, how long was that journey? So with sort of like disordered eating?
So what had happened, I think it really started when I was going to V Festival.
Okay.
And I wanted to get into a pair of them, you know, festival shorts.
Yep. The denim. Yeah, the tassely ones.
And I was like, right, that'll be me. I'm going to, that's my goal.
And how old are you then?
I was like 14, 15.
Right, okay.
So I was like, going to the festival. It's like when we were leaving school.
Yep.
So I was like looking in the mags, and there was like a ad for a known slimming brand. Bought it with my school uniform on, and she sold it me. And then it became an addiction. So I have an addiction personality. This is something that I've learned kind of through the last 2 years of going through kind of what my mental health diagnosis is and was. And so, for example, if I do something, I will do it to the best of my ability. So you want me to lose weight, that's fine. I'll lose it to the best of my ability because I'm an achiever. I have to be the best. And for me, if I'm not the best, then I'm not worthy of love. So it's been an ongoing cycle to break that thought process. And I kind of, when I said to you today, like, oh, I really can't wait to talk about, you know, when your mind has been trained to think like something for so long, or to react, or to break down that process is really hard. But nobody really understands is that I've actually thought this process my whole life. Do you know what I mean?
It's not just a click of a finger where you can think differently.
I think people thought like, oh my God, she's gone off in the rails for the last 2 years. No. If you knew kind of the backstory behind it, this is why kind of I feel I led to the psychosis with Orla, because it was all about being good enough. Am I good enough? And at that time when it kind of all went tits up, I felt I wasn't. So, yeah, and eating's one of those things, or not eating is something that is my comfort. I can control. It's probably a thing about control. I like to control stuff. And it's a hard thing to explain to someone that doesn't get it. You know, there's been times in the last couple of months where I'd lost quite a lot of weight. And now I've had to go on like a replan to put it back on. But it was something because I was going through a really shitty time. So I thought, do you know what? I'm not going to eat. And it's so weird. Still now. And it's really hard because obviously I have a daughter, so I don't want her to see mummy not eating. And my goal was with the ED people was, right, we want Orla to know that mummy sits down with you to eat dinner or eat breakfast, and that's something that I've done because I'm like, I don't want her ever to feel like, you know, how I felt. So she's always in the last 2 years been my motivation, even though when I didn't know she was. So yeah, I'm in a good place now, but it's something that doesn't go away. It just sits at the back of your brain, and it sometimes can take over. And it did, but I kind of crawled it back in, and it's just something you know, looking at myself every day is hard. But I'm really glad today that, you know, if you asked me before to come on a podcast, I would come in with lashes, full face of glam. And today I've got a bit of tinted moisturiser on, no lashes. And I'm coming to learn that I'm all right as me. I'm okay as me, but it's took a long time. It's took a really long time.
And I can't wait for the listeners and myself, because I'm really interested in this journey. I know a little bit, but the actual journey is what I'm interested in. So you have shared with us you were 18, you went through that traumatic experience. How old were you when you fell pregnant with Orla?
I was, 28? So 2023. So I always wanted, obviously, a baby. I've always wanted that life, always wanted that kind of dream Instagram relationship. It's not real. Yeah. So, of course, I wanted that dream pregnancy. I wanted the dad that walks out of the hospital with the car seat picture. I wanted the baby shower reveal. I wanted, you know, the gender reveal. I wanted them moments that I'd saw on Instagram and I compared my life to, and this formation of a family, of what I thought a family should be. Unfortunately, when I was 6 months pregnant, Orla's dad decided that he didn't want to be with me and he wanted to be with someone else. And coming on the pod today, I kind of said to you before that I don't really want to talk about that, because I feel like I have talked about it a lot on my own podcast and a lot on my social media, and it doesn't serve me anymore. I've realised that talking about that can cause drama, defamation, but there's nothing holding me today that says I can't talk about it, but I just don't want to. I don't feel that, to be fair, I've said what I've said, and it just shows in actions that this is mine and Orla's story, and how we've grown as a family. But it's been bloody hard trying to get that, what I thought my life would be, out of my head, and it's took 2 years. And that doesn't mean, you know, just because somebody's moved on and I haven't, doesn't mean that, you know, I'm a bad person or, you know, I need to get over it. I've actually gone through a grieving process, which I didn't know that existed. Even if somebody hasn't died, I thought I died. A part of me died, you know, and I don't think I'm ever going to get her back, because I'm a completely different person to who I was before. That's hard to say. But I am a newer, hopefully an improved person of myself, but doesn't mean that hasn't took time. That's took 2 years.
There's a couple of things, even with what you've said, which shows how much you've grown as a person. How you shared, before, if I'd have come on this podcast, I'd have been full glam. Yeah. You actually recognising, well, I'm actually starting to like myself for who I am. Yeah. That's massive. And also the ability to go, okay, what happened to me happened. Yeah. This isn't the space to talk about it. You've already done that. And you've recognised it didn't potentially get you what you needed from it. It didn't get you anywhere.
It didn't get me, to be fair, it got me possibly into trouble. But also I don't feel I have to talk about it anymore, because I feel like I needed, for me, it was more the fact that I wanted to share this story, because I was like, I am a good enough person and this still happens, you know, kind of feel like, and I don't really need the sympathy anymore in a sense, because it's really weird. Like, I don't need that love anymore, because I'm learning to love myself. Like, I don't need gratification from anyone, because I know I'm a really good mum. Yeah. And I've got through the last 2 years. I've made really bad decisions, but I've owned them and said, do you know what? I shouldn't have done that, and I shouldn't have done this. But also I've realised when you're around a toxic environment, toxic people, toxic places, you become toxic. And I did. Yeah. And it's realising that I needed a real kick up the arse, be like, you're not that person, Shannon. Where have you gone? Where have you gone? And I know now, the person I am now, even though she's different, like, this is who I always was, you know. I was kind, I was considerate. but also a bit stronger. And I know when things are not right. I know when I'm putting myself into also like situations I shouldn't be putting myself into. It's about I had to learn not to react. And that muscle in my brain where it's like full go, I had to be like, right, something's happened, stop, breathe, breathe. And then, but and it's not, it doesn't happen all the time. Jesus, it doesn't happen all the time.
Because you're human.
Yeah.
And when things do trigger
Yeah.
us, we have that split second on whether we decide, okay, am I going to react here or am I going to be able to pause and reflect? The pausing and reflect is one of the hardest things for us to do.
And also, like, I had to remember at this time when this situation happened, I was 6 months pregnant. I'd lost everything. I'd lost a place where I thought I was going to live for the rest of my life, in the sense, I'd lost a reality. You know, I lost that perfect pregnancy I thought I was going to have. And then it was like, I was pushed into, I felt, into like a corner where I was a single mum before I became a mum.
Right.
And all that responsibility of where me and Orla are going to live. How am I going to survive on a one wage? It was all that. How am I possibly then in the future, in the like very late future, co-parent when I don't even know how to parent with someone? Yeah. And it was like kind of like my life flashed before my eyes, and I was just drowning in this sadness. And I'm sure my friends won't mind me talking about this. I was pregnant with my two of the friends at the same time, me, Alice and Megan, and I was comparing my pregnancy to theirs, even though they deserved the most amazing pregnancies and the love from their partners. I was the one that was doing it on my own from 6 months, and I was really jealous of them. And it's okay to say that.
It absolutely is.
I was jealous.
That's growth. That's powerful.
I was just like, why can't, why has this happened to me? And also I felt embarrassed. I think, do you know what? I put a lot about myself out on social media, and I've only ever been in 2 relationships in my life, and I've put them on social media, and I do regret that now. Some of it and not some of it. You know, how I got into these relationships, let's say, was from what I do, how I talk about like mental health, how I TikTok, or I've done something in the press. You know, that's how I've got into these relationships. So it wasn't like, oh, come in, they were blindsided to it. So of course I was going to talk about my journey in pregnancy as well. But it's made me learn now that anything else in the future, I'd probably keep it private. I've put too much of that, and I was embarrassed when it all went tits up, because I was like, how am I going to explain to people what's happened? And I've promoted this, Romeo and Juliet love, or I used to like Bella and Edward love. Do you know what I mean? Like, but because I was trying to just conform to what everyone else was doing, and nobody tells you, like, actually behind closed doors, sometimes it's a shit show. Sometimes it's, not all hearts and flowers. No. And I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe that that happened to me.
With your journey moving forward, so you were 6 months pregnant.
Yeah.
How did you find, like, birth, post-birth?
So I was placed under the mental health team quite quickly after everything happened. They were to be fair, I was.
Are you still pregnant at this time?
I was still pregnant. So kind of, I was already under the perimental health team, complex care team, while I was pregnant anyway, because obviously my eating disorder. Many people don't know this, but when I was 18, I was diagnosed with an anxiety and depression disorder. So I go through periods of anxiety and depression, and they're very bad, to the point where it's like, okay, I don't want to be here anymore. Right. So it was kind of managing them, and they were talking about how, like, pregnancy, obviously your mood's crazy. So I was already into them. So when kind of the situation did happen, they were like, right, let's heighten it a bit. But I have never disconnected from anything or anyone from that day where kind of my whole life changed. I disconnected from Orla, and would go into appointments on my own and just be like, I don't want to be here. I don't want to sit here on my own. I feel people are looking at me thinking, ugh, coming in on her own pregnant, everybody was with their partners. I just was like, I had quite bad suicidal thoughts throughout my pregnancy. There were many of times where, horrible to say that, attempted to take my life when Orla was with me, and that's quite hard to say now, because my brain, it was like an out of body experience during the pregnancy. It was like I had postnatal depression before before she was even born. It was like the psychosis. So I didn't know what it was. So when they were asking me, like, how are you feeling? I was like, I just feel sad. But there was just all these kind of voices in my head saying, you're going to be a shit mom. All is better off without you. We need to get her adopted. So I was like going then to my midwife, like, I really think, you know, you need to sort some parents out for when all is born, because I'm not going to be here. Wow, that was a bit. I'm not going to be here. And they were like, what are you on about? And I was like, yeah, well, you know, I'm not going to be here. So I felt there was like no way out. And I thought, I can't do this on my own. Like, I didn't plan this. Like, this wasn't the setup. Like, this wasn't the plan. Like, can't do this. So a week before I gave birth to Orla, they decided to keep me in and said, I think Shannon needs to be watched by us for the week. So I was like, okay. Like, it was kind of like something I needed to get out of the environment. I needed to be put into somewhere, kind of like a rehab. I needed to be put into somewhere, not see anyone on the outside for a week, just stay in a hospital ward. So they let me stay on the maternity ward, and it was a good and a bad thing. The good thing that, yeah, I was away for a week. The bad thing there was parents every day, partners every day, families every day.
Oh, okay.
Waiting for their babies to arrive, and I was on my own, on the ball, just on my own.
I'm actually blown away with even what you've said here so far, but when they suggested when you are due to give birth, for you to stay in, you mentioned it was a good and a bad thing, but how did you feel at that time? Did you feel like, thank you, someone's listening? Did you feel that you didn't want it?
So I knew I was having a C-section.
Okay.
So this is quite funny. This is actually, we're all doom and gloom, but this is quite funny. So I had a varicose vein down below.
Right.
Which meant if I pushed Orla out, it would burst and I would bleed out.
How did they spot that?
Because my vagina went blue. The girls know it as a blue waffle, but not like that. It was just my vagina. One day, I'm not joking, I sat like this. You know, it's hard to sit. And I felt a lump. This is going in a right different direction. I felt a lump down there, and I thought, what's that? So as you do, you get the mirror out. I thought, holy Jesus, I'm a Smurf. Like, what's going on?
Yes, it was blue.
It was fucking blue. Blue dabba-dee-ba-da-bye. Like, literally blue. And it was like a ball. So I was like, right, this is not good. I thought, fucking hell, no wonder why somebody's left me, because I've got a fucking blue vagina. Right. So we'll go to the doctors, and they were like, we look at it, and it's kind of a talk. Like, we haven't seen that before. And I was like, oh, thank God I'm the first one you've seen.
Oh, wow, great. That's the last thing that you need to hear.
So I went in, had an appointment, in maternity, and they said, you know what, I think it's best to have a C-section. So I was like, fab, thank you very much. But also, even that was a natural birth that I wanted was then taken away.
Uh-huh.
So I was like, I always knew I was going to have the C-section. So all week I was in for mental health, but also they wanted to monitor this. So as Orla's head was bowing on my pelvis to come out, the ball was getting bigger, and I could not see my flaps. No joke. Sorry guys, but it was people don't talk about like swollen or what, like vulvas or whatever it's called, but yeah, that's what happened, and it was absolutely mortifying. Like, my whole body was out, like I didn't know what was happening to my body. So yeah, so they were monitoring, even though it was kind of like horrific. Like, I was in for the week, and it was mainly about my mental health. It was more as well like, right, let's not let this clot pop. There was people coming around like, can we have a look? I went, yeah.
Because it was so abnormal.
It was so abnormal. My midwife Amy is like, Shannon, I've never seen it. I was like, fuck, you're telling me.
But I'm so glad that you're talking about this here, because somebody might be listening to this thinking,
oh, I swear, I was sending a group chat like, look how blue it is. Like, I was like, delete that after. But it was things that also nobody talked about in pregnancy. I was like, have you got this? Because I, like, obviously to in front, have you got this? Because I've got balls. So, and also it was just not nice to have. Like, it wasn't a nice thing to experience. So they were watching that.
It's the last thing that you were needing at the time.
I was like, no, I don't need a blue vagina. I've already been through enough of this pregnancy. Like, can we keep that together for, I want that after. Like, do you know what I mean? So yeah, so they were keeping an eye on me and everything like that. And then it come to the day before Orla was going to be born, and it was just horrendous. Absolutely horrendous. I didn't know what to do, didn't know where to put myself. My mum was only allowed in the morning of the C-section, so I've had that long wait on my own, thinking this is the last day of just you're gonna have a baby. And also it was more to the fact was like, how are you gonna do it, or do you want to do it?
Yeah.
Honestly, do you want to do it? Like, many times I even thought about, should I just leg it? I know that sounds weird, should I just leg it? Or it was just a surreal experience. I didn't know what was to come, and it was like, really, I was really worried. But when she was born on the 2nd of June, I felt nothing. So when she was born, they placed her on my chest, and I was just like, right, what now? No
So
emotion.
Still that disconnect.
No emotion. Didn't like her. Was like, no. I associate things, objects, places with trauma.
Yeah.
Orla was the trauma.
I hear
Orla was, looked at her, saw her dad, not going to lie. And it was just like, no, wasn't the setup I wanted in theatre. Obviously, I don't want my mum there. I just, you want your family, what you thought your family was. And it made it more heightened as well, my mum being there, even though she was amazing. I couldn't have got through it without her. It just, like, made it even more obvious why she was there.
Right.
And I just looked at Orla and was like, I'm stuck with you now. Thanks. And people are like, oh, how can you say that? But it was just the psychosis. I didn't know it was the psychosis until, obviously, kind of 4 weeks down the line. But I was in the hospital, then recovering from the C-section, got sent home, and it was then a day after when we brought back in because Orla wouldn't feed off me.
Right.
So it was another thing then. I was like, fucking hell, you can't even do that, right? So we had to stay a week in hospital for me to, because nobody talks about how hard breastfeeding is. Nobody talks about that. Unfortunately, you are kind of just left to it with your boob. And some babies latch great and some babies don't. And Orla just didn't latch. But at that time, I didn't see that. I thought, it's my fault. Your body's fucked.
You just internalised it with that negative voice again.
Yeah.
On top of everything else that you were already
feeling.
feeling.
I was like, no, that's my fault. That's because the way you are, your mindset now. And all I kept on thinking was, like, during this time was, how unlucky she is because she's got you as a parent. That's all I kept on, like, no wonder why this has happened to you, because you are. And it was a constant thought every day that she was just left with me, and how unfortunate it was for her, because I was not good enough for kind of a family, which I thought so. And it's heartbreaking to think that in your the first days of motherhood. But I didn't realise actually how bad it got until I was taken into the mother and baby unit.
So when did that happen then? What?
So around 3 weeks after Orla was born. Now, I didn't know what I was experiencing was psychosis. I told them a little bit, but I didn't tell them the full amount. So I was experiencing quite really strong thoughts that Orla was the devil, and she hated me and she was gonna make my life hell because I deserved it.
Okay.
That I would never be a good enough mum, that I needed to give her away. There were some nights where I thought I was floating around the room, hovering around the room. And I was so scared. I I didn't know what was happening to me. I didn't know what happened. And I could not stop crying. And it was really odd because I remember, though, pausing for some pictures and people would see like, oh, look, well, you weren't that bad there because you were smiling. It was all an act. I was a mum in a robot form. I did everything robotic. Okay, I can clean her and I can change her and I can wind her. But there was just nothing there. So it got to about 3 weeks, and
she's at home.
She's at home with me and my mum and my dad, and my mum and dad, bless her. So throughout this whole journey, I could not have got through it without them. They are the ultimate mum and dad. Like God sent them to me. They became the co-parent, and they still are. They are the co-parent. They were like, oh God, and I could hear them at night talking when I'm up in the bedroom. And they're like downstairs. I can hear them talking through the window, and they're just like, she's lost it. I can hear them talking. So one day I kind of was like, right, let's do something about it. So Orla was napping. My mum and dad just like, go out for like, I'm really into my exercise and stuff like that. Just go out for a walk, put a tracker on my phone.
Wow. So mum and dad put a tracker on your phone?
Yeah, find my phone. Because they were like, she needs to be tracked.
So they could sense the difference in you and how you were.
To be fair, from when I was 6 months, they put the tracker on. They were like, we need to make sure where she is. And they know that I wouldn't be anywhere without my phone. So it's one of those things like.
Yeah.
So I went down to the shop and I was looking at formula. Now, Orla was breastfed. So I thought, if I buy the formula tonight, I'm going to bring Orla's Moses basket into my mum and dad's room, leave the formula next to it, and I'm going to go. And I'm going to do something really silly, and Orla will be happy then. Because she'll have somebody that really loves her, because I can't give her the love I want to give her because I'm not well. And like, why would she want a mum like me? And it was just like, I don't know, I just couldn't do it. I couldn't do it for her. Like at that time, I I didn't think, like, I was so annoyed at myself that this little girl deserved everything and I couldn't be that everything at that moment.
It sounds as though, Shan, as well, that this wasn't a choice, because you can recognise what you felt that she needed. Yeah. And what you felt that she deserved, and you weren't well. It wasn't that you were choosing to not be well and feel the way that you were.
And
you
never
had no
felt
control over it
this way before. Like, I've never felt the thoughts I had in my head fucking hovering me. I'm fucking hovering. Do you know what I mean? I've never felt that, and hadn't slept, hadn't ate, like all this kind of stuff. So kind of was writing the note, and my mom just sent something and would just like came up to I was in the bedroom and came up and she was like, what's that? And she's like, what have you got formula for? And then I think I just was like, possibly a cry for help. I don't know if I just was like, should I just say it? And I just said it. I said, oh, I'm going to do something tonight. So, and they were like, as quick as you come. I was down in an appointment, I think about 2 hours later, and I was admitted the next day. And it was like that. And I felt, I was a sense of relief, because I think it's really weird. When you've been in like a rehab admission, you're very used to how it is. You're very used to like the rules. You're very used to, and I was like, thank God somebody's going to look after me.
You were safe.
I was like, thank God I'm safe. I'm gonna get the help. Do you know what I mean? I was like, I'm gonna get the help.
Something tiny which you've just mentioned there. Yeah. Orla at this time was breastfed. So you did manage to breastfeed her.
Yeah, breastfed her for like, I think I got on to like eight weeks. But she was on me all the time. And
isn't that interesting, right?
I know, I just did it. I did it. Like, I did it. And my tits were massive. I was like, sorry,
you're telling me.
Don't. Oh, you got more to come. And they were great. And I did it. Like, I did it. So I could do it. And she loved the boob. Oh, God, she loved it. But it worked as well. We worked with so when I went into, I was then admitted to Margaret Oates Mother and Baby Unit in Nottingham, so it's quite a bit from Cov. I was happy it was quite a way. I'm very happy.
I see what you mean. Okay.
I was like, right, I'm getting out of there, of Cov, because even now, parts of Coventry are really traumatic to me. I can't go to places still that like I said, I put kind of traumatic things like with boxes or places, you know, I do that. So I find it really hard, possibly to go down a street. Can't do it. I've had to move gyms. There are places I won't go still to this day because I can't do it. And in time I will do it, but I can't do it. So I was kind of glad that I went to Nottingham to have my plan, because I didn't want to walk past somewhere every day and be like, oh, that's where you went with Orla when she was, you know, first born. But best thing that ever happened to me. I went in there and you have no TV in your room. You just have a basic room with a mattress.
You and Orla are in the same room.
Yeah, she's in a little one of those like rocking cot things that you get when they're in the hospital. So she's in there. She's 3 weeks old. I'm in this bed, which is basically your sheets can't be tucked in. You know, no sharps. Had to be watched when I had like
slanted things that
I've got like a panel. That's my shower room, but it's like foam.
Right.
No like light switches, nothing.
To keep you safe.
I had bars on my window, love. I had bars on the window,
Yeah.
like Big Brother house, like to keep me safe. But I was like, yeah.
Could you have left if you wanted to?
Yeah, so I was voluntary. Well, they kind of gave me a choice, and they said, if you push it a bit more, you can be sectioned.
Right.
Or you can come in voluntary and we can watch you, but you need to stay for 2 weeks, like, to start with. Yeah. So I'm going to come in voluntary because I don't want to be sectioned. Because that's control. Huh? If you're sectioned, then somebody else is doing your thing. So I was still kind of, in a way, cunning them. You know, I'm still ahead of you. You know, I'm going to come in and...
Yeah.
But I didn't realise what I'd learn about myself in there. It's not like somebody comes and sits with you. Well, you can if you want to, but I just was in there with Orla, and it was just me and her. And I sat with my thoughts and cried for the whole of the time. I couldn't, like, I had to get it out. Had to get it out with people, because I think sometimes when you're going through a situation, people have had enough of hearing about it. They don't want to hear about it anymore. Still to this day, I know people don't want to hear me talking about this or talking about if I struggle as a single mum, because I've realised people only have the compassion they have for a certain amount of time during like a grieving process. Like, I think when people, let's say, if somebody passes away, people grieve and then they get on with life. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I feel sometimes people push you towards, okay, it's been this amount of time now. Why aren't you over it? Yeah, because you're not going through it.
And it's easy for somebody to say that because they're not living it.
And also, like I had to say, like, I just need time. But also, I had suffered with the way of my pattern of thinking for years. So this was like unstitching everything I ever thought about myself. Everything that was going on at the time, and it didn't just bring up what was going on in the pregnancy, it brought up the last 31 years of my life and how I thought about myself. So now it's took, I feel, 2 years to process everything, and I'm still processing it. I'm still going to therapy because I think psychosis has changed me massively as a person. I think it's changed my thought process, how I am, my body. I don't think the same anymore. I'm a very anxious person. Now, people wouldn't see it. People think I'm quite performative and stuff. I was kind of talking. I uploaded a video regarding like how sometimes I do like to be the laugh, because I just think I would rather be in on the joke than the joke.
Than be the joke. Because
I've always been the joke to others when people have laughed at me when I was bullied. So I've always been quite a performer, like, come on, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's because that's how I control a situation.
I was going to say, you're the one in control then, though, aren't you?
Yeah, and people don't get that. Why I do that is because, you know, recently, like I was saying, like, I've realised I'm quite an anxious person. I get very overstimulated by situations where there is a lot of people, and if I don't feel uncomfortable, usually I would stay in the situation. Now I come out the situation, have time on my own, and say, I can't do this, it's a bit stimmy.
Wow. Okay.
I need to get out. I remember there was a time, I don't think she'd mind me saying this, on my friend's hen party, there was a lot of people in a room, and I'd come out, and she was like, are you okay? And I just said to her, I was like, I'm really overstimulated. She goes, it's okay. And she made me feel better because I was able to be that honest with her.
Yeah.
But before I'd be like, oh, you know what I'm like. But I think some people always find it's kind of dramatic or, you know, kind of thing like, but it's not, it's just how you feel. It's, you know, I've never been quite open and honest. I'm like, actually, I get very hypersensitive. You know, when I'm going through these times, I'll get very hot and flustered. Usually, which I've noticed that I've done in a lot of my vlogs I touch my hair, play with my hair, because that's something that
Comfort.
yeah, and it's learning, okay, what's going on in your brain at that moment.
Yeah.
But I generally think that as well, the psychosis like heightened my emotional state. Like I'm very sensitive. I take things sometimes really personally. I don't mean to. It's just how my brain sees it. So my brain always sees the negativity first.
Right.
But it's now working with somebody like, actually, the way somebody said that, they might have not meant it. Usually over WhatsApp. You know when you see a message over WhatsApp, it comes across really harsh if
It's the worst
blunt.
because you can't see the tone in which it was said.
But I will take it literal.
Right.
So I've had to learn to be like, actually, let's not react. Let's just take a break. It might not be seen like that. That's why I voice note.
I love that.
I think that's why I voice note over the thing. I voice note. So I always say to people, I always voice note people because they can hear the tone of my voice and how I am. But also, hopefully they think I'm a nice person, like when I voice note. But I voice note because probably I'm too paranoid to send a text if it might come across a bit shitty. But also so people will understand the tone of my voice and know if I'm saying something, that's how I'm saying it.
Yeah.
But people just think I like to do my own podcast and I voice note, which is true. But that's why. That's why I do it.
So you're talking here about how you found yourself in a period of psychosis.
Yeah.
And that's really important to say. When it comes to psychosis, somebody just doesn't have it and has it for life.
Yeah.
It is usually a period of time where something significant happens. Yeah. However, it doesn't then completely go away.
No. So, like, for example, like, the psychosis was, I believe I had it for I'd say like near enough the end of my pregnancy into them first 4 weeks. I don't think it was a long time, but I feel that lasting effects was a long time. Do you see what I mean? Yeah. But it was learning how to be medicated, right? What coping mechanisms work for me. CBT doesn't work for everyone.
No.
Unfortunately, it does not work for me. I have to do other things that, you know, help me get de-stressed or medicated. And I've been trying different medication that fits with me. Then all through this, so I've gone through this whole process. I've been in the unit. They have done wonders for me, you know, and I've kind of learned, you know, how I'm going to be on my own in the sense like, but then you get out into the real world, and then it hits you again because you're confined into a space for 3 or 4 weeks and think, oh, this is how it is. Like my kitchen's just down there and I haven't got no worries in the world and everything. I'm inside and I'm safe. Then you've got to be let out in the sense of like, actually, you have to do real life with your child. So for me, then it was let back out and be like, oh my God, like meal times are not actually at 7 o'clock in the morning and meds are not at 7. You know, you do it, you have to conform to the real world. And that was really hard for me. Like, if you imagine you're 31, you're back at home with a baby. You got your mum and dad asking where you are 24/7. You know, you're looking after this person where I generally thought I was the most compassionate, kind, selfless person. I thought, I'm so, like before I was pregnant with Ola, so selfless, I'll do anything for everyone. Actually, I'm quite selfish. I like my time. I like, you know, I like being able to like go off and have a run or go out and also spend my money on myself if I want to. And something I learned, obviously, during this journey is that actually, I wasn't, you know, I wasn't all these things I thought I was.
Wow.
You know, I had to accept that actually the first thought in the morning is not me, it's Ola. What's Ola wearing today? What's she having for her food? Is her bills paid so she can, you know, have electric, have gas, I don't know. But my mood then changed from me to her. And it took a long time. And also, it's sometimes annoying. It's annoying, isn't it? Like, I think people don't really talk about that transition of, like, sometimes you get a bit frustrated about, oh, I can't, I've got to look after, I've got to do this, I've got to put, and it's okay to say that. It's perfectly okay to say that I learnt how I thought I was something or a person and I wasn't. And that was hard to, get a hold of in my head as well.
Hard to go through it, but hard to then talk about it.
Yeah, because people thought,
I respect you for that.
People are like, how can you say that? Sometimes you don't really like motherhood. No, sometimes there are times where, when I am in the pit of it on my own, all is having a tantrum. She's shit on the floor.
Yeah.
But potty train, I'm need a run because I need to get out, and that's how I cope with stuff. There's no childcare. Like, for example, we were supposed to do this three weeks ago. My childcare let me down. That's frustrating, and I'm in a panic, and then I'm just like, it's so annoying. But that's my life now, and it's accepting that's my life now. It's not always going to be perfect.
Mm-hmm. And also the comparison of what you were doing previously of quote unquote perfect lives is not the case.
Yeah, I've had to grow up and also realise that, how I was as a person sometimes before probably wasn't the best version of myself, and I think this is the best version of myself, like as a mum. But I've still got a long way to go. Recovery for me hasn't stopped. It's an everyday thing. I'm working on myself like every day to try and, open up them conversations about being a mum and how hard it is, and being a single mum, and, talking about things like universal credit, homelessness, dating, sex. Like, it was something as well that really scared me, thinking I might have to talk to other men now.
Mm-hmm.
No, because I'm single, and I do deserve somebody that, in the future that will love me, that will love Orla. And I've been very open about that, I think I'm quite scared. A lot of people ask me, like, would you have another baby? Like, would you? I don't know. But
that's okay, Shan.
That's okay to say that, because I am absolutely petrified to think I wouldn't be able to survive. I don't think that again. I mean, I would try, but as in, like, for me, I'm very much concentrating on, it's just me and Orla's world at the moment. And anyone that comes into us, I always thought, we're not a burden. We're actually, we're not ready-made family, should I say? Like, yeah.
I met her, didn't I, when we had that video call?
She's so funny.
I met her when she came on. She's absolutely gorgeous.
She's lovely.
As are you.
Thank you.
What I'm interested in.
Yeah.
What's your relationship like with Orla now?
Love her. She's my best friend. It makes me emotional. Like, even leaving her today, I've got the mum guilt. Like, I can't see myself without her. In a way, we're very much together, but both of us have quite bad anxiety without us together. So it's learning who I am not being a mum as well. Like, I love being a mum and promoting that, I'm doing this and that, but also finding who I am with, as Shannon, as this newer version or improved version of me. But Orla to me is everything. Like, I never thought I'd love somebody this much. I never thought, like, when she calls me mummy, that it'd be the best thing.
I can see it.
The best thing.
I can see it, and if people are listening,
mummy.
they'll hear it. They'll hear it in your voice.
She's like, mummy. She says it all the time, and it's like, she does love me. Like, she does, because she can't wait to see me at nursery. Like, when she comes out of nursery, and when she sees me, like, it's all I ever wanted in life. All I ever wanted was, like, someone to run up to me and love me, and she loves me. She doesn't care what I look like. She doesn't care that mummy doesn't have no lashes on, or she just loves me because I love her back, and that's it.
What's that done for your self-esteem?
She does make me feel good enough. She does make me feel like I'm doing something right now. There have been many of times where I've felt like, a shit mum. You get put into situations like, for example, I talked about, unfortunately, we were declared as homeless a couple of months ago. My landlord decided he wanted to kick us out because he wanted to sell the apartment. And a lot of people thought, you can just move back to your mum and dad's. It wasn't a choice, unfortunately. I carried the guilt of you know, my life didn't just change when I had Orla. Their life changed. You know, they have been the most amazing parents and grandparents, but they took a lot of the, I shouldn't say the burden on, but the responsibility of us.
Yeah.
And I think I'd already lived with my parents, but also, you know, they shouldn't have to. You know, they shouldn't have to take us back on as well, in the sense, and I made that decision and I told them that's not your responsibility. So I really tried to find somewhere, and something just happened. A miracle happened where one of my work colleagues, he got promoted in his job and he got offered a house or whatever. And he asked me if I wanted to rent his out.
Wow. And
it would just so happened it was fate and faith. And yeah, and that's how it happened one day. He has been the most life-saving landlord I've ever had, and it's gone so smoothly. Never had someone so kind and considerate to mine and all his needs, and cares about my mental health and checks in on some days about how we are as a, you know, me and all, and if he needs anything. Never had that. So I'm happy, but I talked about in that time that imagine having like nowhere to live and you've got a 2-year-old and you just feel like shit. Do you know what I mean? You feel like, oh, how has this happened in this day and age? And or for example, when you're looking on the meter and you've got £10 on the electric, thinking, oh god, payday's not till a couple of weeks or 2 weeks or a week. I need to make that last. I need to, you know, get all her food. I need to pay for her swimming lessons. I can survive off nothing. You know, it's kind of one of those things, like you want them to have it all, but you have to live within your means.
Right.
And I work, you know, I work quite a lot of jobs or side hustles to try and make ends meet for Orla. And I'll do it again and again because I just don't want to. And that's what she's put it back in the fire, back in me of like, I will give you the best life I can give you as me, and I am good enough. I am 100% good enough. And, you know, whoever comes into our life, they'll be proud to have us as a 2. And now I thought I'd come as a 2 before, but this is a different kind of 2. Do you know what I mean?
This is a healed 2.
Yeah.
And also proud to have you, but lucky to have you as well,
yeah.
Shan. Like the resilience that you have to be... Start that again. So not only the journey that you've been on, but also the resilience that you have to be able to go, okay, here's my timeline of all of the shit things that have happened to me in my life. But listening to you sit here next to me, list them off, but then say, you know, I'm still working. I'm working as much as I can. Yeah. You haven't given up. You are a fighter. And you are... That little girl is lucky to have you as her mummy. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. I wouldn't have said it if I didn't genuinely think that. Yeah. Because to have the strength and the courage to not only go through what you've been through, but to talk about it, to try and help anybody else that's probably scared, nervous, anxious to even drop in a little hint that they're feeling the way that you were. I didn't realise. You ain't alone.
Well, when I started talking about this, like I've talked about my journey, sometimes good, sometimes probably shouldn't have talked. And that was something I learned also. You know, I've been quite open, but there was definitely some things I should have not talked about in my. And I've learned that. I've took that on the chin, and I've learned it. Like, Shan, but that was the like the learning curve. But a lot of people go through this like the similar situation as me, and I was getting quite a lot of messages from girls on my TikTok, on my Instagram, about obviously what, you know, I'm in the similar situation as you, how are you doing this, how are you doing that? And it was comforting, it was very comforting. But also the switch side I've learned with social media and talking about it, you're going to find a lot of fake friends. You're going to find a lot of people that just want to know kind of the information just to know the information.
Yeah.
Nosy. And I trusted a lot of people as well. And that's something as well. through the last 2 years, like I've had to remove kind of people out of my life. You know, they were just there for that time. Okay, that's fine. And move on. And that's been hard because sometimes you think, oh, people have your best interests at heart, and they don't. They just want to know what's going on and the drama and everything like that. But that's been one of a soul like comforting thing as well, is like learning actually who are the good people around me, who are my support network. I don't have to have 10 friends. I can have 3, and that's fine.
Yeah, as long as they're the true good friends.
Exactly. And people will say, actually, Shan, you know, this wasn't right, or not in a horrible way, but will say, you know, I think possibly you could have handled that a better way, you know, than. But yeah, I've had to take some like negative feedback as well, and that's something that I took really, really hard because I just wanted to be perfect.
Yeah.
But you've got to sit and listen to, you know, if you fucked up, you fucked up. Do you know what I mean? And that's it. Like, I've took it on the chin. I've like changed the error of my ways, and if I do make a mistake again, I'll own it. And that's what I've learned from everything. If I've made mistakes, I'll be like, oh, do you know what? Yeah, I've made mistakes in this, but you know, as mums and as people and as, you know, you do, don't you?
100%.
You make a mistake.
And I really respect you for that. I really like that about you, that you're able to hold your hands up and go, yeah, that situation, I wouldn't do it again. But we learn and we move from it.
And we move forward.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Okay. So, last question then that I have for you. I could sit and speak to you all day. And what I will do is make sure that I put the links and everything to all of your social media in the show notes for this.
Cool.
So if people want to hear more about your journey, they can.
Yeah, cool. That'd be lovely.
They can then do their research.
Follow me on TikTok. Get my likes and views up.
If you,
yes,
with who and how you are now, could speak to that version of you, that was really, really struggling when Orla was 3 weeks old, what would you say to her?
Well, firstly, I'd probably give her a hug. Firstly, I'd shower her with love, tell her it's gonna be okay, but it's gonna take a long time.
Yeah.
I'd tell her not to react or breathe or just take some time, but also that being a mum is one of the hardest jobs in the world.
Yeah.
And that you're not always gonna get it right, but there will be a light at the end of the tunnel, and every day you just learn. Every day you just learn. But yeah, I would just say it's gonna be okay, and you are strong enough and more than capable to do anything you want to in life, but especially being a mum.
Oh, mic drop. What a woman. Thank you so much for coming on today. Genuinely, I'm blown away by. I knew a tiny bit. I didn't know that much, but what I love the most is how you tell your story, how you're able to wear what's happened to you as armour, essentially, and your courage and your determination. I think you're great. I really do.
Thank you.
And I'm excited to see where your journey goes. Don't give up on all of these side hustles that you've got.
No, I won't.
And I'm excited to see what happens. Thank you, my love.